Our dear students from anywhere in the country and in the world, welcome to this lesson. And today we are targeting O-level students, senior 1, 2, and 3, especially in the Uganda education system. And we are going to study what an atom is. Today we are going to learn what an atom contains. We are going to learn how to define an atom, and we are going to expound this information which we studied in primary schools to know what an atom can help us to do. In integrated science, we learned that an atom is a smallest unit of matter. And we also defined a molecule as a combination of many atoms. It is in today's lesson that we should be guided on how we can generate a definition that is more rich, that we shall always use to define an atom from this level and other higher levels. We are going to use the knowledge which we already know about science, and we enrich this definition of an atom, and then later we shall also modify the definition of a molecule. We shall recall that a chemical change is a change that is irreversible and produces or results into permanent new substances. I want us to get another word or another name that we can use to represent a chemical change, and this will be a chemical reaction. So a chemical change can also be called a chemical reaction. I'm calling it a chemical reaction for some reasons. For any chemical reaction to take place, I'm sure you can name several examples of chemical changes which we are going to keep calling chemical reactions. But for any of those examples that you can identify, without an atom, those changes cannot take place. In other words, it is an atom that combines with other atoms for a chemical change to occur. So for us, when we are observing, always observe a combination of many smaller changes which which are as a result of the sum of these small unit changes that are occurring. This is why we are going to say that for a chemical reaction to take place, for a chemical reaction to occur, an atom must take part, must be part of this, must be involved for a chemical reaction to occur. And I want us to keep this in mind. And I want us to also use another package to generate another part of the modified definition. And in this case, I want us to jump a little bit and we look at how an atom is always organized. Much as we are saying that an atom is the smallest particle of matter, which is not wrong. An atom is also containing other small particles that are inside it. An atom, however small it is, it contains other particles. However, these particles are part of the atom and they cannot be removed. You cannot remove one of them and you say, I'm putting it aside as a single particle. It cannot happen. And these particles, they include protons, neutrons, and electrons. Briefly, we can represent an atom with a circle which has a younger circle inside it. Maybe I can shade it because it is younger. And I'm going to put letter P and letter N inside, and I put letter E outside. The inner circle is a representation of the nucleus, and the outer circle is a representation of energy level. So we shall say that an atom contains two parts, the nucleus and the energy level. Inside the nucleus, we always find there protons. It might not be necessarily one, they might not be two, they might be 20, they might be even 50, and so on. In the same way, N will represent neutron, which is not always one or two, but there are many depending on the atom. And E to represent electron. Now, what are we interested in so far in this atom? We shall quote some scientists' conclusions that always an atom, for every atom, the number of protons must be equal to the number of electrons. What is this helping us to do? Always in the atom, the protons carry a positive charge, neutrons carry no charge, and electrons, they carry a negative charge. So, since protons are equal to electrons in every atom, it will be seen that the atom has resultant charge, as 0. How can I make this in simpler English? We shall always say that an atom is neutral. An atom is always neutral. Why is it neutral? Yet it contains protons that are positive and it contains electrons that are negative. It's because protons always are equal to electrons, and therefore their charges, the charges on protons will always cancel out the charges on electrons, and so the resultant charge will always be 0. We can use mathematics knowledge here, that whenever you have positive 1 and you combine it with negative 1, then you have the resultant sum as 0. It means if you have, for example, 10 protons, you don't need to look for the number of electrons. Definitely there will also be 10. And since they are equal and they have opposite charges, then the charge on the atom, the entire atom, will end up having no charge. How can we define an atom? An atom will be defined as the smallest. We are now maintaining our word smallest from the definition that we already know. And it is indivisible, because I have already said it, that my charge has many particles. None of these particles can be divided out or removed. If it is removed, then it changes the meaning. It is no longer called an atom, and later we shall find another name which it can be given. So it cannot be divided further. Indivisible, then electrically neutral, because we have already seen that it is neutral since it has no charge, and it is a particle of matter that takes part in a chemical reaction. So this is the definition that is rich enough, that contains all properties of an atom, and it is this atom, it is this definition of an atom that we shall always use in every question that requires you to use the definition of an atom. Now, in our subsequent lessons, we shall expound more on the contents of an atom, and we shall study each of the particles in an atom independent of each other. For now, I would like to thank you for being good viewers, and to always encourage you, work hard and read ahead. And always, if you need assistance, we are available. and we are Back Science Education Consultants.